side. Murphy shooting, save a rebound on the view.
Hey guys, it is Red Rubber Duckman. It is currently 3 a.m. Eastern time at the time of this recording. So yeah, I'm gonna try to do my best to keep quiet because I'm in a study lounge right now because and I'm trying not to wake up any of my roommates or neighbors. So there's that. But there was a lot that happened, including 22 conference tournament games, and we have one championship already set up. So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. And we also have a tournament bracket that just got released, the MEAC tournament. So let's go ahead and dive on in. That way I can get to bed a lot sooner. So let's start off with the Sun Belt. We got the South Alabama Jaguars defeating the Appalachian State Mountaineers 68-61. Now there was no double digit lead the whole game, anything you would want from a round opener. 5 Jaguar starters in double figures, led by Isaiah Moore with 20 points. Now, 4 Mountaineers were also in double figures, led by Terrence Harcum with 17. Now, both teams battled it out in the second half, and the battle was decided when South Alabama's Owen White hit a three to double the lead with 26 seconds left. The Jaguars will face the top seeded Southern Miss Golden Eagles. The next up, Troy defeated Arkansas State by scores 63-59. Two Trojans finished with double doubles with Zay Williams, 15 points and 11 rebounds, and Nelson Phillips with 13 points and 14 rebounds. Marquise Davis had 21 points off the Red Wolves bench, and ASU was up by as much as 12, but Troy clawed their way back and avoided the upset. They will get a date with the Dukes of James Madison. Next up, we got Texas State going up against Old Dominion, and they upset the Monarchs 65-36. Mason Harrell led all Bobcats with 20 points. However, not one Monarch ended up in double digits. As Tyreek Scott Grayson made the first free throw, after that, the Monarchs didn't score for 8 minutes. A 31 or 32-14 halftime lead did in fact get worse, and Texas State has earned the right to go up against Marshall. Next up, we got Georgia Southern defeating Louisiana Monroe 66-57. The Eagles were led by Tyron Moore, scoring 16 points. The Eagles and Warhawks fought in a game that only saw one double-digit lead the whole game. Georgia Southern couldn't run away with the game until the last couple minutes of play, and Georgia Southern will play Louisiana. We now go to the Missouri Valley. Next up, we got Northern Iowa defeating Illinois State 75-62. Bowen Bourne led all Panthers with 23 points. The top scorer for the Redbirds was Seneca Knight with 19. And after the halfway point of the first half, it was all Northern Iowa. Illinois State didn't really have an answer. Northern Illinois will set up a highly anticipated battle with Bradley in the next round. Next up, you got Indiana State defeating Evansville 97-58. Robbie Avila scored 21 points for the Sycamores, with Cooper Neese getting 19. I didn't really think Evansville go to the tournament. I don't even think they knew that Arch Madness was happening. This was the largest margin of victory in Arch Madness history at 39 points. And the Sycamores will face Belmont in the next round. Next up, you got Murray State going up against Valparaiso 78-50. The Racers were led by Jamari Smith with 19 points and Quincy Anderson coming off the bench and scoring 18 of his own. Throughout the majority of the game, Murray State was ahead, and the league kept growing, and there was no holding the Racers back. Murray State will move on to play the number 2 seed Drake. Next up, you got Missouri State going up against UIC. They beat the Flames 74-57. Three Bears finished in double figures. Leading the way was Alston Mason with 17 points. The only lead for the Flames was 2-0, and that was it. Ever since the Bears took the lead, they never looked back. Missouri State will take on Southern Illinois in a tournament full of blowouts, but there's still time for the games to finish a lot closer. Next up, you got the Patriot League, and the top seeded Colgate Raiders defeated Loyola Maryland by a score of 92-73. Six Raiders ended in double figures, including all five starters, led by Braden Smith with 19 points. The Greyhounds had two stretches with 0 points. Colgate proved they are a force to be reckoned with in the Patriot League, as they will take on Army in the semifinals, who defeated Boston University by a score of 71-69 in overtime. Jalen Rucker balled out for the Black Knights, scoring 32 points. The largest lead was 10 by the Black Knights early into the first half. Them and the Terriers kept it close since, and it led to our first overtime in 2023 conference tournament play. It was close throughout OT, with Army coming out at the end. And they will travel to Hamilton, New York to face Colgate. And we got a couple upsets in the Patriot League. Number 7, American upset number 2, Navy by a score of 52-51. Only three players combined hit double digits, with the Eagles' Matt Rogers and Johnny O'Neill hitting 17 and 15 points respectively, and Navy's Daniel Deaver hitting 8 with 18 points. American University shot 55.3% and were able to fight back from two double-digit deficits. Navy shot 37.5% and it cost them. The Eagles will travel to Lafayette, who upset Lehigh by a score of 71-64. The Leopards were led by Josh Rivera with 24 points. The score at halftime, 41-18 in favor of Lafayette. There were multiple periods of minutes where the Mountain Hawks couldn't buy a bucket. They had a strong second half. Unfortunately, it was too little, too late. Lafayette will host American in the semifinals. Next up, you got the Horizon League, and the top-seeded Youngstown State survived Detroit Mercy by a score of 71-66. Adrian Nelson led all Penguins with 20 points. Antoine Davis finished with 22 points, 5 points shy of the scoring record. The game was a back-and-forth affair with the Titans in front for most of the game. With 1:31 to go, Nelson put the Penguins in the lead for good. They will face Northern Kentucky in Indianapolis, as the Norse defeated Oakland by a score of 81-74. Marquez Warwick led the Norse with 22 points, and Chris Brandon with a double-double with 13 points and rebounds. The Golden Grizzlies never led in this game. They came close to claiming the lead for the Norse at a couple points, but never finished the job. And Northern Kentucky will take on top-seeded Youngstown State. And now the number 2 seed Milwaukee, they beat Wright State, the defending champions, by a score of 87-70. Four Panthers ended in double figures, with BJ Freeman leading the way with 29 points. Trey Colvin balled out for the Raiders with 28 points of his own. Unfortunately, the rest of the Raiders couldn't do much, as Milwaukee led the whole entire game. The Panthers will take on Cleveland State in Indy, as the Vikings defeated Robert Morris 75-70 in overtime. Tristan Enaruna led all Vikings with 23 points. The Colonials were up by as much as 12. They were up throughout the majority of the game up until the final seconds of regulation, when Cleveland State sent it to overtime. And the Vikings turned it on in overtime, and there was no holding them back. The Vikings will face the Milwaukee Panthers. We now go to the Atlantic Sun semifinals, as the top seed Kansas State beat Lipscomb by a score of 80-71. Terrell Burton led all Owls with 20 points, with Brandon Stroud close behind with 17. The Owls led the game the whole time, but the Bisons came close on numerous occasions. However, the Owls did just enough to hold on. The Owls will host the Atlantic Sun Championship on Sunday. Their opponent, the Liberty Flames, defeated Eastern Kentucky by a score of 79-73. Darius McGee led the Flames with 29 points, and Colin Porter followed close behind with 25. With Devontae Blanton scoring 23, the Colonels led by 12 at one point in this game, but Liberty was able to claw their way back, and they will travel to Kennesaw, Georgia for the Atlantic Sun Championship. The Owls will be looking for their first trip to the dance, while the Flames are looking for their third ticket in 5 years. We now go to the Ohio Valley, as Southeast Missouri State beat Tennessee State by a score of 91-83. Despite Junior Clay's 34 points, the Tigers had a difficult time containing Southeast Missouri State's Chris Harris, 29 points, and Philip Russell with 18, and Nate Johnson with 17 points. The game was close at first, but then the Redhawks gained control for good, and SEMO will go up against top-seeded Morehead State. And then you got Tennessee Martin defeating SIU Edwardsville by a score of 81-75. Jordan Sears led all Skyhawks with 33 points, while DeMarco Minor led the Cougars with 32 points. The game was paused when a fight broke out when SIU East DeJuan Pruitt sucker punched Ryfin Miguel. 3 players were ejected, and the game continued with bad blood. The Cougars held their own for most of the game, but Sears' layup in the final seconds put the Skyhawks up for good, and they will take on Tennessee Tech in the next round. Next up, you got the West Coast Conference. They just started their tournament tonight, and the number 8 seeded Portland defeated number 9 San Diego by a score of 92-74. All 5 Pilot starters finished in double figures, led by Tyler Roberson's double-double with 23 points and 11 rebounds. The game became back and forth in the middle of the game, but Portland eventually gained control and never stopped. The Pilots will move on to take on BYU. Next up, you got the number 7 seeded Pacific going up against number 10 Pepperdine, and the Tigers ended up winning 84-71, with Keelan Boone and Mo Odom scoring 25 and 22 points respectively. Pacific held on to the lead throughout the whole game and started to run away with it before the first half even ended, as the second half didn't change much besides the scoreboard. The Tigers will take on San Francisco in the next round. And now we've reached our bracket preview. This is for the MEAC tournament, tipping off on Wednesday, March 8th. You got the top-seeded Howard Bison looking for their first tournament appearance since 1992, and they will take on South Carolina State, with the Bulldogs looking for their first appearance since 2003. Tip-off is at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. And then you got the number 2 seed, North Carolina Central Eagles, looking for their first appearance since 2019. And they will go up against Delaware State, with the Hornets looking for their first appearance since 2005. Tip-off is at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. On Thursday, March 9th, you got the Maryland Eastern Shore Hawks, who have never made it to an NCAA tournament, going up against Morgan State, looking for their first tournament appearance since 2010. Tip-off is once again at 6 o'clock. And then you got Norfolk State, the defending MEAC champions, going up against Coppin State, looking for their first appearance since 2008. Tip-off is at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And then you got the semifinals on Friday, March 10th. The first semifinal happening at 6 o'clock, and the second one happening at 8 o'clock. And then the championship game on Saturday, March 11th. Tip-off is at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's going to do it for day 7 of the March Madness Charity Drive. The link for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention fundraiser is in the description below. I want to thank you guys for making it to the end of the video. I can finally get a chance to get some rest. I apologize for making my camera shake. So anyways, My name is Red Rubber Duckman. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Until we meet again, I'll see you guys next time.